Good morning. Welcome to number 2 of your Photoshop tutorials. This one is the nameplate project. And what we will do is start off by making sure that, of course, you got to the appropriate website, which is freephototool.com. And for this project, I would recommend you put it into full screen. I'm not going to because it will just kick out the screen capture software. So you might have to put up with looking at these ads. But at any rate, let's get started. Let's go ahead and create a new project. And for the name of this, we'll call it nameplate. Change your width to 1000, and then your height will be 350. And for now, you can go ahead and leave that at 72 dpi. That's perfectly fine. For the background, instead of white, we can change that to transparent, because I'm going to show you how to go ahead and create a couple layers, and we'll fill those with different colored backgrounds, mainly black and white. But what it'll do is give you an idea of how you can manipulate things to look better for depending on what type of background you have. So once you have these settings in, click Create, and there it is. That's what we have to start with. So the first thing, let's take our layer panel, and as you can see, we have our background. Okay, we're going to create a new layer. There it is. If you scroll down, you see how it has this little new layer icon. It looks like a page. Go ahead and click upon that. And now we're going to rename this. So right now I'm double clicking where it says layer 1. I'm going to rename that white. And I'm going to create another layer. And this one I'm going to rename black. Okay, now let's fill the layers. Let me scroll up here. There we go. So I have my black layer activated. And what I'm going to do is change my color here. No, it's a rectangle. Whoops. I'll make sure that my fill color is black. And now I'm going to click right over here where it says gradient tool. See that little arrow? If you click and hold that, it'll change it to the paint bucket tool. And what I will do now is fill that with black. Ta-da! There it is. All right. And now I'm going to hide that for the moment. And I will click on the white layer to make that active. And what I'll do is press this little icon to swipe colors. See that little button down there? You could also press X on your keyboard. Let's try that. X. Hey, look at that. X. All right, and I'll hit the paint bucket icon again. That little button for the tool. Click that, and that changes it to white. And I can also hide that as well. So as you can see, I've got my black, and then I've got my white as well. So we're going to leave those two off right now. And I'll just click on black to make that the active one for the moment. Now let's go ahead and switch over here to the type tool. All right, that's got us in the type tool. I'm going to close the layer panel for the moment, so that way we can see everything. And let me scroll up a little bit. There we go. I'll click right there in the center. And that's going to load the fonts. Right now it automatically goes to that Deja Vu font. And I'm just going to go ahead and type my last name. You could type whatever you like, but for this demonstration, I'm just going to use my last name. So there it is, Arnold. And I'm going to highlight everything by pressing Control A. Just like you would in a word processor, Control A highlights all the text. I'm also going to center it as well. Let's see here. Okay, it's not going to let me, but I will go ahead and change the text if I can. What's going on here? There it is. All right, I guess we're going to try a different tack. That's not letting me change it. So I will open up my layers panel again, make sure that's active, and then I'm going to go to Edit. And I will use free transform. That brings up the handles. So there's a workaround if it doesn't cooperate with the text function. There we go. Let me go ahead and close that panel again. And I'll bring that over, And now I'm going to change it just slightly. So I'll double click to engage that. Get back to layers again. And let me get back on the type tool. And let's see if it lets me change it right here. If I go to book, I'm going to change it to bold. There it goes. That's what I want, bold. That way it really stands out. And then I go back to my move tool, and now we're really going to get going with the filters and such. So yeah, I'll leave it like that for the moment. To open up the layer styles or the layer filters, double click on the layer itself, and that brings open this window. So I'm going to scoot this over so you can see it. And we're going to start off with, let's do a gradient overlay. Or let's do a color overlay. There we go. So I'm clicking right there, not just the checkbox. Click there so it opens up the layer properties. And let's see, what do I want to do? Do I want to have red? Or do I want to have kind of a greenish hue to it? And yeah, I'll just go with like a funky, let's see here, light green, maybe like almost a celery color or something like that. There we go. I'm just experimenting, ladies and gentlemen. I encourage you to do the same. Yeah, that looks cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a gradient overlay next. All right, and let's see here. Maybe I'll take that color overlay off. Boom. There it is. There's the gradient overlay. Yeah, let's do that instead. And we have different choices here. We can have just black and white if you like. And right now it's at 90 degrees. It's at linear. You can change that to radial if you like. Or you can reverse it. See? Or you can do angles and reflected. So there's different things you can do. But check this out. We have different gradients that are built in. This is just like the program. I'm a fan of the Chrome one. Oh, that's kind of cool. There's that, but instead of having that reflected, I'm probably just going to leave it as linear, so that way it looks like that. And then if I reverse it, see how it's got like a blue sky effect on the top? I'm going to leave it like that. And of course, feel free to experiment with the scale, so you can make it larger or smaller. I'll put that back at 100. You can also offset it as well, using the x-axis. Doesn't really do much with this one. It looks better with an angle, but you'll get the idea. Please experiment. All right, and let's see, for the blend mode, I can darken. Oh no, for this one, because it's got a black background, leave it at normal, but definitely play with the opacity of it. Oh, that's interesting. I'm just going to leave it as is. All right, now let's go ahead and bevel and emboss it. Let's give it some dimension. So I'm going to go to bevel and emboss. And right now, the default, it gives it a little bit of definition there, but we can always change that. So we can change your depth. Right now it's at 100. This makes it a little more prominent. Oh, I like that. That's good. And then of course the size. So 10 pixels looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and change that, scale that depth back a little bit. Not bad, not bad. And then of course you can soften it so that way it doesn't have the rough edges on it, but I'm just going to leave it as is. Now for your contour, that's for how it looks on the inside of it. So right now that looks as if it's been stamped in there. That one looks pretty neat, the double ring. Or that's a double ring, that's it. And then you've got the two hills, the sharp hills. So you've got different stuff you can do. And I encourage you to try them all. Find the one that you like best. I'm kind of partial to the two ring one. I kind of like that. Yeah, I like that one better. So I'm going to go with the, what's that called? Two hills, excuse me. So I'm going to stay with two hills. And then let's see what the angle does. Right now it's at 30. You can always change the angle of it. Yeah, because if you go over here into the higher numbers, see how it gives it more of a glossy effect? But then down over here in the negatives, I think I might just leave it at the 33. I was happy with that. There we go. Now let's see what else can we do. Let's go ahead and click OK for the moment. And what I'm going to do is place it on a black background, see how that looks. So I'm going to turn on the black background. Okay, not bad. And see how it looks on the white. All right. So I'm going to do the black background. Now I'm going to open up those layer styles again by double clicking. Scoot this over here for you, and I'm going to make a couple changes. Like right now I'm not really loving that two hill effect, so I'm going to revisit that. I'm thinking maybe I'll just bring it back to the way it was. So depending on your background, you may have a different look. So I'm going to stick with the black background. Yeah, I'll stick with it right here. All right, now let's see, what do I want to do here? I want to give it, let's give it a glow. Let us give it a glow. So we've got inner shadow, was it outer glow? That's the one we want. Click on that. Right now it's like a weird color here. So I'm going to change that. And what I can do is take the mouse, come over here, and just kind of give it a little eyedropper thing. And maybe go ahead and let's see here. Yeah, I'll soften that up just a little bit and hit OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and have that glow spread out a little bit. There we go. And then of course you can change the contour on that, give it some highlights and stuff. Oh, cool. That works. Let's see how that looks out. Ooh, funky. All right. Maybe I'll lighten that up. Let's change that to white and see what happens. Okay, I'm kind of liking that. That's cool. So what I'll do is I'm going to make those letters stand out a little bit more. I'm going to use what's called a stroke. So I'm going to click over here on stroke. And by default, it comes up as red for some reason. So what I'm going to do is change that probably to black. Let's try that. And once again, try different things, please. And let's see here for the size. 3 pixels is good. I'm going to bump that up to 5 and see how I like that. This is like Bob Ross for Photoshop. We'll make a little happy little strokes and stuff like that. And you can always change the opacity of it. Right now it's at 100%, which means that it is totally opaque. And I'm going to turn off my phone so we quit hearing the alerts. I'm going to bump this down to 75, and that'll make it a little less severe. Now that I'm looking at this, I think I need something a little more flashy for the gradient overlay. So I'm going to come back to that and maybe change that to, let's see here. Oh, that's pretty neat. I like that. Yeah, I'll change it to that. And then I'm going to revisit my bevel and emboss. I'm going to change that contour back over here. There we go. That's a lot more vivid. And as you can see, this is totally fluid, so you can do whatever you like. And I think that's probably going to be it. And it's kind of boring. That works. Now I like this one. It stands out more. All right, so let's go back to the outer glow. And what I'm going to do is kind of soften it a little bit. Let's see here. Go ahead and spread that out just slightly. Maybe give it a little noise. Not too much though, just a little. Bump that to 10%. And let's see how that looks. So I'm going to click OK. All right, that's how it looks right now on a black background. So let me change this. Now on a white background, you can't see anything else. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to copy a layer. All right. So what I'm going to do is take this one here. And I'm going to duplicate the layer. And what I'll do is I'll place this one down here between black and white. So that way we have 2 options. Okay, so right now, these 2 look good to me. I like them. And what we can do is, for the moment, I'm going to turn those off. And now we have the original one. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to click right here on the second layer, which is Arnold's copy. I'm going to double click that for the layer styles. Bring this back over here. And one thing I'm going to do, because we can't see it anyway, is I'm going to get rid of that outer glow. We no longer need it. So I'm going to get rid of that. And now we're going to do a drop shadow. You can do an outer glow with a different color if you like, but for this one, I'm going to choose to do a drop shadow because I've always liked that. It gives it some dimensionality. So maybe bump the distance back a little bit so it's a little bit closer. Maybe change that opacity because I like a good shadow. Change that to 100% so that way we can see it. And then maybe bump up the size just slightly. Let's see here. There it goes. Gives it more of a crisp appearance. And because it's a different layer, I can try a different, I can always try a different gradient if I like. So instead of that one, what I can do is switch it back to something like that. Or put it back on that one. Or go full rainbow, like, Skittles or something. Oh, that's one. I like this one too. All right. So we'll do that. And let's see the stroke. Put that back at 100%. That way it really stands out. Come back over here to drop shadow. Let's see what this looks like. If I go ahead and change the spread and see what that does. There we go. It gives it a little more dimension to it. Now let's try pattern overlay and see what happens with that. And we can always change the blend mode too. Nope, that's not doing it. Let's turn off gradient. There we go. Yeah, this is cool. All right, so we can do pattern overlay. And you can always change the scale on it. And we have different ones that are built in too. So this one's by default. I kind of like it. I like that pattern on there. Let's see what that one looks like. It's a little subtle for my taste. That's also a little subtle. What's this one? Yeah, it's not showing up too well. So I'm just going to stick with this one. But by all means, try them all, please, okay? Nope, let's check the blend modes. No, that's not it. All right. So what we'll do is we'll explore blend modes in a different one. I think it's because the text is black right now. So anything that, overlays onto it's automatically going to go dark. So we'll try that on a different video. Alrighty. So I'm going to click OK. And we're going to look at the two different things I've created. So I've got this one with the pattern over it. Not bad. Like I said, this is all introductory stuff. And let's check out the other one that I made. And there it is. Now, if you'd like to go ahead and export these, what you do is you just go to your File menu, and you can export them. There's a PNG, a JPG, or whichever one you like. Just make sure that you have the ones displayed that you want to use. All right? So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this little mini lesson, and I hope you explore it, and I'll have more to come for you later on, all right? Y'all take care. Stay tuned.